Everyone these days is talking about meditation, as if it were some peculiar skill, some extraordinary discipline that one must master, like playing the violin or learning mathematics. But the very moment you try to do it, you've already missed the point entirely. You cannot meditate, you simply cannot. The very attempt is already failure. For the simple reason that you, the ego, the thinker, the little voice inside your head, are the very obstruction to meditation itself. Thinking is nothing but a form of inner chatter, like talking to oneself. And as long as that chatter goes on, you remain trapped in a world of abstractions, a world of symbols about reality, rather than reality itself. You see, reality is not a thought, it's not a word, it's not a name. Reality is now. And this moment, this eternal present, cannot be grasped by the mind that seeks to capture it, because the mind can only represent, never experience directly. The trouble, you see, is that most people try to meditate by struggling with their own minds. They sit in their little postures, gritting their teeth, attempting to silence thought, to force tranquility. But that's like trying to smooth rough water with a flat iron. The harder you try, the more turbulent it becomes. No, you cannot meditate by effort. You can only allow meditation to happen. In the same way that you allow yourself to listen to the hum of the world, without trying to understand it, without naming, without grasping, just listen, just be. And in that effortless being, meditation arises on its own. You see, most people are simply addicted to thinking. That endless chattering inside your skull, words, symbols, images, it never stops. And it is quite literally talking to yourself. Now, if you talk all the time, you never hear what anyone else has to say. And if you think all the time, you never allow yourself to encounter what is real. All you have are your own thoughts about reality, which are merely representations, not reality itself. You live, as it were, inside a map, mistaking it for the territory. Inside a world of symbols that refer to things, but are not the things themselves. You see a tree, and you call it tree. But the word tree is not the living, rustling, swaying reality out there. It's only a noise, a convenient label. This is the basic illusion. The mind, constantly labeling, separates you from what is. It creates a gap, a gulf between the observer and the observed, between the knower and the known. And in that gap you feel alienated. You feel alone, cut off from the universe that you are actually inseparable from. You see, it's rather curious. We live in this constant attempt to describe, to name, to control. But reality does not need your commentary. It simply is. And when you are endlessly thinking, you're living in a kind of dream world, never directly touching life, but merely talking to yourself about it. This, you see, is the first great obstacle to meditation. As long as this internal chatter continues, you remain a spectator of your own illusions, never a participant in the living moment. Now, what is reality? That's a very peculiar question, because the moment you ask it, you've already moved away from it. You see, reality is not something that can be captured by thought, by language, or by any form of conceptualization. The moment you name it, you reduce it. Words divide, categorize, create boundaries where none exist. The real world is not made of things or events. Those are inventions of the mind. Out there, it's all just happening. A marvelous system of wiggles and flows, endlessly dancing. Take the stars, for instance. We look at the sky and say, here are constellations, but the stars aren't grouped together in the sky. That grouping exists only in your mind. The divisions, the patterns, all are projections of your own symbolic system. Reality itself makes no such distinctions. In truth, there is no ultimate difference between yourself and what you call the external world. The idea that I am something inside this bag of skin, separate from everything else, is simply an illusion, a convention. For you are as much the sunlight as you are the eyes that perceive it. You are as much the air that fills your lungs as the breath that moves within you. But the ego insists on this division. Here I am, and there is the world. This separation is at the root of our anxiety, our conflict, our search for control. But reality, the real reality, is utterly free of all this. It is neither spiritual nor material. It is not this or that. It simply is. And the moment you stop trying to grasp it, to define it, you begin to taste it. Now let us speak of this thing called the ego, the I, the separate self that most people imagine themselves to be. The ego, you see, is not a thing. It's not some entity hiding inside your head, pulling the levers. The ego is a social convention, a hallucination created by your thinking. It is the thought of I. And when you examine it carefully, you find that it has no substance of its own. It is simply a pattern of tension, a continuous effort of identification and control. When you think, you create the image of a thinker behind the thoughts. When you feel, you create the idea of a feeler behind the feelings. But these are only ideas. Thoughts do not require a thinker, any more than lightning requires someone to operate the thunder. Thoughts arise spontaneously. They happen as clouds form in the sky. The problem arises when we identify with this abstraction. That is, when we believe that the ego is real, solid, permanent, and this identification creates conflict. It creates fear. It creates the desperate urge to control, to improve, to protect something that in truth has no independent existence. The tragedy is that the ego is precisely what tries to meditate, and that's the great joke of it all. The very thing that wants to let go cannot let go. The ego cannot surrender, because surrender would be its own dissolution. You see, meditation cannot be done by the ego. The moment you approach meditation as something you must do, you are reinforcing the very illusion that must evaporate. Meditation is not something you achieve. It is something that happens when the ego exhausts itself and falls silent. Here is where so many go astray. They sit down to meditate, with furrowed brows, tense jaws, and anxious minds, determined to still their thoughts, to silence the inner noise. But, you see, this very act of trying is itself the noise. To try to meditate is like trying to smooth a rough pond with a flat iron. The more you press, the more ripples you create. The water would settle perfectly well on its own if only you would leave it alone. So too with the mind. People imagine that meditation means the absence of thought, that a blank mind is the goal. But thoughts, you see, are no more a problem than the chirping of birds or the passing of traffic outside your window. They are simply happenings, part of the great orchestration of life. You don't need to suppress them. You don't need to resist them. You simply observe. As you would listen to the wind or watch leaves flutter, you allow the thoughts to come and go without judgment, without grasping, without naming. Meditation happens naturally when you stop interfering. When you stop trying to meditate, you are meditating. It's a paradox, you see. The ego wants to be the master, to be in control even of its own surrender. But surrender is not something the ego can perform. It is what arises when the ego dissolves. Therefore, let go of the effort. Let the mind be as it is. And like a tired bird that eventually quiets its song, your thoughts too will settle when left undisturbed. Meditation is the art of non-doing, the grace of being. So then, if meditation is not a practice of doing, what is it? It is simply being present with what is, without the compulsion to alter, to judge, or to fix. It is in essence a profound listening. You close your eyes and allow the world to pour into you. You hear the faint hum of distant traffic, the whisper of the breeze, the gentle beating of your own heart. And you do not name these sounds. You do not categorize them. You simply receive them. You let your senses play freely, without interference from the mind's commentary. You allow your breath to breathe itself, without control, without manipulation. You let your body exist as it is, aches, tensions, sensations, without trying to improve or resist any of it. This is the art of non-doing. You are not forcing anything, not aiming for any particular state. You're not trying to achieve tranquility or enlightenment or bliss. You're simply allowing. And in this allowing, something remarkable happens. The boundary between self and world begins to soften. The rigid lines dissolve. You no longer feel like a separate observer watching life from behind your eyes. You become instead part of the happening itself. The breath, the sounds, the thoughts, all part of one continuous process. In this you rediscover your original nature, effortless, spontaneous, free. You are not a fragment trapped in a skin bag called me, but rather a manifestation of the whole universe, a wave upon the vast ocean of being. Meditation, you see, is not a task to master, but a mystery to sink into. It is the effortless grace of simply being here now, without trying to be anywhere else. Now, one of the simplest and most beautiful ways to slip into this effortless state is through the act of listening. Not listening for something, not listening to identify, but simply listening. You see, sound is marvelous because it requires nothing of you. The world is full of sounds, and they are happening whether you participate or not. The cars passing, the wind through the trees, the rustle of your own breath, all of it is there. And if you allow your ears to open, simply open, you begin to hear these sounds not as distractions, not as separate incidents, but as one continuous symphony. You do not label them. That's a bird. That's a car horn. That's my stomach rumbling. No, you allow sound to be pure vibration. You listen as you would listen to music, not analyzing but receiving. And if you find yourself thinking, which you will, you listen to your thoughts as though they too are sounds. A kind of interior humming, like birds twittering outside your window. You neither suppress nor indulge them. You let them come and you let them go. In this act of listening without grasping, without commentary, you fall effortlessly into meditation. The mind no longer struggles. The ego, which always wants to understand, to control, to manipulate, finds nothing to cling to, and slowly, quietly it dissolves. You discover in this listening that you are not a separate listener, standing apart from the world. You are simply part of the vibration. The ears and the sound are one process. Meditation happens when you listen, not to achieve silence, but to hear the music of existence itself. Breathing holds a profound secret. Most take it entirely for granted. After all, it happens continuously, day and night, without conscious effort. Yet, at any moment, you can decide to alter it, to hold your breath, to breathe deeply, to quicken or slow the rhythm. It exists in a strange borderland, both under your control.